Welcome. I just got this new MacBook Air 2020. Um, Pretty excited about it, so I'm just going to go through setting up some things. I could have just done Time Machine to, get a perfect backup of my previous laptop, which was the 11-inch MacBook Air back from 2013. But I figured it'd be more fun since it's been so long to just set it up from scratch and you know see how that process goes. Um, yeah, so we've got the 13-inch i7 quad core 10th generation processor and 16 gigs of RAM. I think I really just upgraded the memory and the processor, and I really think it's just a better deal than the MacBook Pro. I think the touch bar is a bit gimmicky and overpriced. If you look at the price point, you're getting, effectively the same thing. The Air has the latest generation of Intel processors. I mean, touch bar, ooh, cool. That's a feature for some people, I guess, but um, not a big deal for me. I actually prefer having the function keys, and the keyboard in the 5 minutes that I've had this thing feels great. Um, I've had MacBook Pros for work for my last two jobs with the touch bar, and it just never really grew on me. I found it to be more annoying than it's worth. I'd rather just have the function keys. So yeah, and I think it's a good price point in comparison. I think I saved like $200 getting the MacBook Air rather than the MacBook Pro. Just go into this model. Yeah, so you just upgrade the processor and the memory. I left the storage as is because my previous one had 250 gigs and I barely used that. So 1600, it's no small amount, but compared to the MacBook Pros, I think it's a pretty good deal. So yeah, I haven't really done anything yet other than install Chrome. Um, I like Safari on mobile, but not so much for the Mac. I think just doing web development, it's a little easier, or a lot easier on the Mac. And I'm realizing I shouldn't. Okay, you can't see what I'm typing. All right, just trying to be secure. I'm just opening up my GitHub because I do have a configurations repository that I use for a few different tools that will help me get set up. All right. Yeah, so if we go into my repositories, sensible configs. So I have Git, iTerm, ohmyzsh, ZSH, however you say it, and Vim. So I think that's a good inspiration. I should install iTerm first. I prefer it over the default terminal. I think it just has better like multi-pane setup, a little more configuration abilities. Yeah, move its applications. Yes, I'm just going to see how far I get. Sure, check automatically. Allow notifications. And another good step would be ohmyzsh. Just get that installed. that copied. Ah. Command line developer tools. Yeah, so I like ohmyzsh. It has some good plugins that I think just make my developer experience a little easier. I would say if we scroll down to the plugins, basically just Git, ZSH syntax highlighting, and auto suggestions. This, I believe, gives you some Git auto completion. So it makes it easier just to tab complete the commands you're trying to write, and syntax highlighting. I just really like syntax highlighting, so that's the only reason I have for that. So I made this project so that I can go in here and basically just copy these files into my user directory, and things are just easier to get started. I did it mainly for work computers, and now I finally get the chance to do it for my personal. Let's see, git config. Just have some helpful aliases, my user configuration, a few commands. This is from Ahmad Owe's emoji log repository, and I hope I pronounced his name correctly, but I'm a big fan of his work. Yeah, so this is just providing, a set of git commit commands, just following this imperative message format, and I found it helpful just to think about how I commit my code when I think about it in these buckets. So this is almost done. I'm trying to think. I could install Spotify. Must get that going. Oh, and another very important one is rectangle. Some of you may use magnet or spectacles. Spectacles is now deprecated, but basically just keyboard shortcuts to resize your windows. Super useful once you get the hang of it. Yeah, and the biggest thing I'm noticing between my 2013 MacBook and this one is the trackpad is significantly larger, which is great. Probably about 3 times as large. And it's actually the same size body as the 11-inch, but the screen is just closer to the edges, I think. Yeah, so it provides all these keyboard shortcuts. It's basically Control Alt arrow keys, and then sometimes you throw in some letters, UIJK. So you kind of get the hang of it. The thirds are pretty nice when I'm breaking up screens. And then maximize Control Alt Enter. Pretty great stuff. So you can kind of just bam, left side, right side, left 2/3, right third. Yeah, it's really nice, and then you can just kind of click this menu item and it gives you the keyboard shortcuts here. Definitely a good thing to get going. It makes your workflows a lot faster once you get the hang of it. Alright, so we've installed those command line developer tools. We should be able to install ohmyzsh, ZSH, whatever. Great, so we've got that done. That was easy. If we go back to my Sensible Configs project, I think one thing that would be good is to clone this repository. And I need to add credentials to this computer in order to be able to do that. But first, I like to make a dev directory at the user level. This, for those that don't know, this tilde is basically the equivalent of users and then your username. In my case, it's Ryan J. Wessel, which I guess doesn't show up there. Yeah, well, it's here, but that's my username. We can actually do autocomplete maybe? Yeah, Ryan J. Wessel, and it's still the tilde. So we can run this make-dir make directory command, do a little _dev. That's how I like to organize all my computers. And then we don't even have Git, so I don't think this is really going to work. No, maybe it comes by default. Alright, I need keys. This might be something that I can't do on a screen recording. So I might, if I have to, I'll pause it, start a new one once I get that part done. Probably right. I'd rather be safe than sorry, so I did set up the SSH key for GitHub. I believe that's all working. I followed this guide, so if you're new to GitHub, I'll include this link in the description. So now I'm going to try and clone this repository and see if it worked. Excellent. So we can ls list the directories here. Sensible Configs is here. Okay, so now we can get started with the various tools that I have in here. So what we can do is we have ZSH set up, so we can do this move command, or really cp copy, because we don't want to take it out of this directory. Copy the ohmyzsh zshrc into my user directory zshrc, and we'll do the same thing with my zsh scripts, just like a couple of handful or a few useful scripts that I've written. Not many, it's more so like a good morning script to just open up the files that or the applications I use frequently. So if we run source zshrc, unable to find JVMs. That's because it's expecting Java and I haven't done that yet. And we also haven't installed NVM. So there are a couple of other requirements in order to get that working correctly. But at least we've got my cool lightning bolt in my prompt, which I like. And we can do the same thing with git config. We'll copy it into the user directory. iTerm, I don't think anything needs to be done there. And I'll probably hold off on Vim for now because I don't use it as often. But with iTerm, yeah, I've got this configuration file in here that iTerm can import from. And I've got a few themes that I like to use, and I switch between them. But if I go into iTerm, if I open the preferences, I think in profiles, appearance, profiles, advanced, no. Preferences, general preferences, okay. Here we go. Load preferences from a custom folder. So we can go into that's funny. I need my user directory in order to be able to do that, so I just got to update my sidebar in Finder. I definitely want the user directory, iCloud Drive, sure, why not? Yeah, I'll leave them all as is, why not? And I like file extensions, so we'll do that too. Okay, so now we can go back to this. From the user directory, dev, sensible configs, into iTerm. It does not like the file. That's interesting. iTerm won't load config file. This seems like what I was trying to do. Edit a plist file directly or replace the plist, the application will keep using the cached version. I don't know if that's exactly what we're doing. But we can give it a shot. Quit it. Open the default terminal. We'll try this again. See if it likes it a little more. Damn. This is kind of frustrating because it's supposed to save me time, not make this difficult. And don't know, what if I just mess it up and then go back and delete it? Did that do it? No. What is the point of this feature? Load preferences from a custom folder. Maybe we can just copy the file over there temporarily. So we'll just forget about this. Instead, we're gonna copy our iTerm config into library preferences Google code iTerm2 keylist. And we'll close and reopen iTerm. Failed to load preferences. Falling back to local copy. Malformed file. That's my sensible configs file. Oh. Well, that worked. Somewhat. That's really odd. Well, one thing's for sure is all I noticed was the ZSHRC, the username is incorrect, so I need to update that, which I should be doing in my Sensible Configs project, so I can easily share it across other computers. Okay, so we would open this file. This is Vim, which is like basically an editor within the terminal. Search for that R Wessel. Alright, we found it here. We're just going to make it my full name. So we just saved it, and we'll copy this file into the computer. I'm basically just maintaining like my Sensible Configs directory is like a version that I share everywhere. I can keep track of the history in GitHub, and I just copy it for use on my local computers. So if I source that file, it hasn't found those plugins. Okay. We'll just try and make like a change here. It's annoying. Definitely annoying. But I'm gonna move on because I can get back to that later. At least, you know, it's kind of pulled in my color theme, which I like to use the Material Pale Night theme, Pale Night, and has my status bar the way I like it. So we can go into ohmyzsh ZSH. Make this full screen again. Yeah, so I basically just shrugged it off and didn't provide simple or full instructions. These instructions are definitely simple. We're just looking for plugins. I forget how to install the plugins. Enable a plugin by adding its name to the plugins array in the ZSHRC file, but I also need to install the plugin. Yes, so we add it to the plugins array. But don't we need to install it? I thought we needed to like install the plugin. I mean, we can see very clearly plugin not found. So it's been so long since I set it up that I need to revisit this. We did this clone, or get ohmyzsh. We've edited that file. Let's get to the plugins. To activate a plugin, add it to the plugin setting. Save your changes. What the fuck? This is odd. Everyone's just saying, like, throw them in there, and then that's it. Let's look it up. ZSH syntax highlighting. Because the Git plugin says it's there, so I guess that comes pre-installed, but maybe we just need to install these ones specifically. Yeah, this provides some nice syntax highlighting. Install. Homebrew. Yeah, this is really useful. Package manager for Mac OS. And it's definitely just going to make a lot of things a lot easier. So going to run through this setup. So, I mean, the whole reason I bought this new laptop was, I mean, my laptop is old, and I'm trying to work on this project, like a goal-focused productivity app. And the performance was just dragging. Like, I'm trying to do this in the mornings. It takes 20 minutes to get the project started. So I figured faster computer, more time spent actually building the thing. So seemed worth the money. And I can hold on to this laptop for another 7 years, hopefully. Got this set up, and then ZSH auto completion. Yeah, so it took about 2 weeks to get this laptop because I got the extra memory and faster processor. I'm sure the entry-level model, if you're not doing like a lot of development work or anything too intensive, the base MacBook Air is probably a great computer. ZSH auto suggestions. It's the one we're looking for. Oh, turns out I think we can just clone these repositories instead of using Homebrew for them, but still glad that I'm installing Homebrew. So it's basically cloning the repository and then copying it into the custom plugins directory for ZSH. So we did that one. That was for syntax highlighting. And then this is for auto suggestions. And if we source the ZSHRC again, we've got new problems, but the plugins are not the problem anymore. I've definitely run into this problem on new computers as well with ohmyzsh. Okay, seems like, yeah, I think it was just a permissions issue on these directories, which that command fixed. Almost done with Homebrew. Yeah, and there's all sorts of plugins for ohmyzsh, and I'm sure whatever you're working on, there's probably something in here that I'm not using that will make your life easier. So worth checking it out. I'll save that link as well for sharing. So we've got iTerm sort of set up. We've got Git basically set up. GitHub set up. ohmyzsh set up. Homebrew set up. Very nice. Next thing we could do is install NVM, Node Version Manager. It's basically, you know, when you're working on multiple projects and they have different node versions, this is pretty great to have. It just makes it really easy to switch between versions as you're working on different projects. And I believe that's all we need. Install a long-term support version of Node 12.18.3, and we've got that set up. And you see we've got some syntax highlighting here, which is nice. And with the other plugin, we've got auto suggestions there. So you see it before it wasn't doing this, but now we can just arrow complete or tab complete our commands as we're writing them in the terminal, which is super useful. You can close out the terminal. Got an NVM in here. I think I just want to clone a couple of other repositories that are still actively being worked on. My personal website, milestone action review, the goal-focused app that I'm working on. And, you know, I think outside of that, we can probably ignore the rest of them for the time being. So we'll just clone that one and this one. All right, so we've got our 3 projects in here. This just reminded me, now that I'm going into my development projects, I must install Visual Studio Code. Crucial. I love it. And I've got another setup for sharing my settings between projects there. I'm trying to think what other applications I want to install, but I could definitely clean up the dock. I don't need Pages or Keynote or Numbers or News or TV. It's a satisfying sound. Podcasts. I'm a Spotify person anyway. Maybe keep notes, reminders, goodbye. Calendar, goodbye. Contacts, goodbye. Photos, I like you. Don't need you in the dock. Maps, goodbye. Ooh, that was loud. Almost there. Goodbye, Safari. I'll keep you in the dock. Launchpad. Don't need it. We'll change our dock preferences. I don't like this recently used app nonsense. I like to keep it small, with a lot of magnification. Genie effect. Minimize into the application. Show recent applications. No. But we can keep these in the dock. The zoom is a little too much. That's better. And I like the App Store. I forget what I actually get from the App Store rather than install from the internet. Spark, definitely one great email application. Definitely highly recommend it. Another one that I'm working with right now is TickTick, similar to Todoist. Basically just a task manager. And they've got a few other features like a Pomodoro timer that Todoist currently doesn't have. But, you know, the project that I'm working on, I'm hoping to completely replace my need for a TickTick or Todoist with my productivity app. So that's a fun thing that I'm working on. Visual Studio Code, we've got that set up, or going to get that set up. So the first thing that I'm going to do is go to the extensions, settings, sync. I install this one. And I'm basically, I love this one because I can log in with GitHub. It saves my Visual Studio Code settings in a GitHub gist. I just select it, and then it just starts installing everything. Sync download settings. So it's going to start installing all of the extensions that I like to use. It's going to change my settings and move the sidebar over to the right side and give me that nice pale night theme that I like to use. So that'll take a little time, installing 53 extensions. I think we should, yeah, I've installed Spark, TickTick. I don't know if Xcode came with this. Or if I need to install it. I guess so. I guess that makes sense since most people don't need Xcode. I'm going to save tick for later. Since I'm just trying to get most of my developer tools up and running for use in later projects. But anyway, I mean, I'm just trying to record stuff that I'm doing anyway and, you know, talk through what I'm thinking and just share it with people. And hopefully it helps somebody, you know. Plus, we're all quarantining now, and this is just a way for to keep myself entertained, you know, and have something to work on, and, you know, hopefully it helps people out. But, you know, I'm just doing it for myself, so I think there's value in that too. Download the Android Studio 2. Actually, this is going to take too long. I'm not really focused on Android, for my personal project at least at the moment. Gonna go on Do Not Disturb for a little bit. Still going with the settings sync. Log into Spotify later, but crucial installation. But I do want to make sure I've got my React Native prerequisites set up. And it's a good thing we installed Brew, because there are a few things that we need here. You can use the Expo CLI. You can follow this guide, and it makes it a little easier to get started. I like to understand a bit more about how things are working under the hood. So, I mean, the React Native CLI makes it a little bit easier. You're still not setting everything up. I mean, it's relatively simple. If you've got some development experience, you can get this up and running in like 20 to 30 minutes, I would say. Yeah, so we're just going to set up for iOS on Mac for now. Install Watchman. We've already got Node set up. We're installing Xcode. That might take some time because it's pretty big. We want to install CocoaPods. This is basically the Ruby package manager. It's used for iOS development. Not great that it's asking for sudo, but you know, that's the guide. Yeah, I think that's basically it. It's just the Xcode part's gonna probably take a little while. Hopefully the VS Code part's almost done. Yeah, this is the way I like it though, with the sidebar on the right. I think we can delete all of these things. That needs to go into applications. All right, we got these things set up. I had to pause one more time. I'll get the hang of this eventually. I was trying to YouTube live stream it today, but it seems like you can't do a screen recording as a live stream, which I thought would be cool, but oh well. I mean, even with the break, we're still like not even halfway done with Xcode, so it might be challenging to get this done in this video. We do have CocoaPods set up. We could enter the milestone action review project and just install the node modules, get that set up as we're making our way through this. Yeah, we're about halfway there. A little more. So, almost where I'd like to be in terms of getting my development tools set up the way I like it. Still have some work to do in terms of making the transition more seamless. But, you know, not bad. We got VS Code set up the way that I like it. I think it's frozen right now. Yeah. At least keep it in the dock. Not a good sign. Rainbow wheel on the first day with the new MacBook, but I think we're just doing a lot right now. Although, with this extra memory in the processor, you know, I was hoping we wouldn't have this problem. Outside of that, though, I think I'm largely pleased with the purchase. The body is exactly the same as the previous MacBook Air. Keyboard's really nice. Screen's really nice. Here we go, force quit. That's not good. VS Code's like super crashed. The activity monitor. Let's see if we could find some sort of code process that's taking place. I think we can just get rid of that. I think these are all code helpers are like specific to VS Code. I just quit the screen recording again accidentally. But man, I've never seen VS Code struggle this hard. Seems like that might have got it. No idea what happened there. Hopefully just a fluke. I'm hoping just to finish up with having this done. But, you know, I think I might save it for another video. Let's just get this fixed and then we can wrap it up. It's really pretty simple to follow this guide once you have the prerequisites installed. So, you know, even though it's ending on things not working as expected, it's laying a good foundation for future work. So, pleased with that. super broken. But anyway, I mean, you could open up Activity Monitor as a way to like view what's consuming your CPU, your memory, network, you know, disk read write, battery. So just force quit everything related to code. Helper. And maybe that'll do it. Doesn't seem like it though. So, you know what? I think I'm just going to call it. Got a few things set up. Hopefully some of this was helpful. You know, and maybe I'll do another one, kind of go through this React Native development environment setup another day. So yeah, that's it. Hope you found it helpful. Got a few other videos on my channel with React Native work, and we'll see what I publish next.